viewers of The Pioneer, how are you doing? I hope you're healthy and well. As the Pioneer team, we continue to share our report on the Russia-Ukraine war with you. We will share with you an incredible development related to the Kherson front line. I have shared with you in our reports in the past days many times, and the situation on the Crimean Peninsula has become quite difficult for the Russian armed forces. One of the biggest reasons for this is undoubtedly the Ukrainian army's moves to prevent the arrival of support for the Crimean Peninsula, and the Russian army lacks support from the Russian mainland. This affects the Russian troops, especially in the Kherson front line, quite seriously. So, I've mentioned the Kherson front line very often in our map reports, most of the time in summers. So, the situation on the Kherson front line has become quite bad, according to reports in recent days, especially for the Russian armed forces. As it is known, by order of Vladimir Putin, the president of the Russian Federation, a change of command was made here, and the commanders responsible for the defeats on the Kherson front line were dismissed. However, this situation repeated itself. Vladimir Putin, the president of the Russian Federation, once again made a change of command in this Kherson frontline region for commanders. So, what are the developments on this issue? Let's examine it together. Before moving on to our report, I would like to make a small reminder. As the Pioneer team, we continue to share our reports on Russia-Ukraine war with you. Do not forget to subscribe to our channel and turn on the notifications so as not to miss our daily reports. You can also support me and my team by using the super thanks button. Thank you for your support in advance, and let's just start if you're ready, because the Pioneer is reporting. So, although I haven't talked about it much in recent days, the activity on the front line continues in every field. From Luhansk to Bakhmut, from Donetsk to Zaporizhia and Kherson, there is a series of intense clashes, and the Ukrainian armed forces are showing great resistance to the attacks carried out by the Russian armed forces. This resistance has discouraged the Russian armed forces, and this advantage gained by the Ukrainian army seems to lead to quite a lot of results in the long term. So, as it is known, the Ukrainian armed forces carried out an offensive last summer. Although many authorities consider these summer offensives a failure, this is not the case, because if the summer offensives of the Ukrainian armed forces had failed in the way of it was meant, the Russian armed forces would have recaptured the areas they've lost it, wouldn't they? So, of course, there are the points that the Russian armed forces have recaptured, but however, this did not happen on the Kherson front line. The situation on the Kherson front line has always remained in the favor of Ukraine, which is a good thing. So, as it is known, after the successes of the Ukrainian armed forces on the Kherson front line, Vladimir Putin, the president of the Russian Federation, appointed Teplinsky, a commander respected by the all-Russian armed forces. And in this way, Vladimir Putin, the president of the Russian Federation, thought that Teplinsky would be eliminated at this point where the Ukrainian armed forces were strong. So, some sources even claim that there has been no news from Teplinsky for a long time, so Putin has achieved a success in this scene. But of course, this is an event unrelated to the situation of the Ukrainian armed forces, because this is an internal problem. But however, with the recent developments, it has become clear that the Russian armed forces are in a very difficult situation on the Kherson front line. So, according to reports, the latest reports reaching Vladimir Putin about the region are not encouraging. It is reported that Vladimir Putin has experienced great anger due to the latest reports, and as a result of this anger, he's dismissed many Russian commanders. So, according to the latest information obtained from the Russian sources, Lieutenant General Arkady Mazoev, the commander of the Russian 18th Combined Army, who had been trying to clear the Ukrainian bridgehead in the Krinky for a long time on the Kherson front line, but had not succeeded, was dismissed by the decision taken overnight. So, however, according to the Russian war bloggers, this was not just a dismissal, because Russian war bloggers, Russian Lieutenant General Arkady Masurov was completely expelled from the Russian armed forces. So, this is a very remarkable situation for the future of the Russian armed forces, because due to this incident, it is very likely that there will be a great demoralization and mental disorder in the soldiers in Kherson. So, in particular, it will be an important factor that the commander is not limited to being dismissed and expelled from the army. As the Russian armed forces fail to achieve the new successes on the front line, Vladimir Putin is getting angrier, and the anger leads to the decisions against the Russian armed forces. However, the only case of explosion is not limited to this. because according to the reports, the commander of the unit serving in the Zaporizhia front line was also fired along with the Lieutenant General Arkady Mazoev. According to reports, the commander of the 17th Motorized Rifle Regiment was fought near Robotin in Zaporizhia Oblast, was dismissed and completely dismissed from the Russian Armed Forces after the Russian Armed Forces units failed to make new progress in the Zaporizhia front line in recent days. So we can say that there is almost a leaf fall in the Russian armed forces, and the Russian soldiers allegedly really respected and trusted all of these commanders, and the successes or failure of the commanders are completely different details. However, the survival of the army is still dependent on the existence of these commanders. Therefore, there may be a major disintegration of the units of the Russian armed forces, so especially the Russian soldiers serving on the Zaporizhia front line and the Kherson front line. The name of the commanders of the 17th Motorized Rifle Regiment on the Zaporizhia front line is unknown. However, according to the Russian war bloggers, this person was also a very popular name among the soldiers in the region. Therefore, it is claimed that the Russian soldiers will react to the Russian administration. However, it should not be forgotten that these are still allegations. So, Ukrainian armed forces continue the resistance. Recently, Alexander Syrsky, commander-in-chief of the Ukrainian armed forces, said in a statement that the Russian armed forces have new plans. Syrsky used the following statements in his statements in the subject. So he said that the enemy has set the goal of capturing the town of Kasovyar just west of the already occupied city of Bakhmut by 9 May in the time for Victory Day. We observed that the Russian troops are trying to cross west of Bakhmut in order to reach the Siversky Donets Canal in order to capture Kasovyar and advance towards Kramatorsk. So the implementation of the enemy's plans is hammered by the heroic defense of our crew. Literally crawling on the ground was suppress the enemy's daily attack. So now it's your turn. What do you think? How do you think the expulsion of the Russian commanders from the army will affect the troops of the Russian armed forces? And what impact do Putin's decisions have on the Russian army? And what do you think Russia's successful commanders did not succeed on the Kherson front line? What is the reason for that? And what do you think about the statements of the commander-in-chief of the Ukrainian Armed Forces, Syrsky, about the latest situation? You know that I read and I care a lot about all of your comments, so please share them with me.